All right, I only got a little bit for you, and I'll let you get out of here. I know you don't got a whole lot of time, so thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no problem, dude.
Um, hey, almost 1 year later, what do you think of CM Punk's WWE run so far?
That's interesting. It's funny. I thought the opening few weeks were like Twilight Zone shit. Like it was really fucking weird.
Yeah,
It was just very, very jarring. Nothing about it felt like correct. You know, he comes into the new setting, and it was hard to really like believe what was happening. Um, I feel like he didn't get his feet wet, and like they didn't really fully marry what he was to what they were doing, if that makes any sense. And so it was just kind of like uncanny is the best way to describe it. He's doing the stuff with Shawn Michaels on the NXT show, and he's cutting the promos with the weird haircut and calling, WWE his home. It was just very weird and very jarring.
yeah,
And I thought it started to get going in the Royal Rumble build when he starts to interact with like guys like Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. But there was this weird looming sense of like, can Punk still get it done in the ring? And it kind of like colored things for me personally. And I remember at the Rumble, he didn't look good. And like even before the injury, I didn't think he looked good. And so when the injury happened, it was like, man, what's going on here? And it's like you'd think it's a disaster, but I do think it was a blessing in disguise because I thought that CM Punk's WWE run actually got going once he had his arm in a sling. And the real big turnaround, he cut the promo about the injury and he's talking about his friend with cancer and how he doesn't know if he will ever main event WrestleMania if that's ever meant to be. And that was the first like time he cut a promo in WWE in the return where I felt like I was actually like watching him being sincere and like believing it, you
yeah,
know. And then from there, that's when you started getting in the stuff where Drew McIntyre is trolling him and fucking with him, and he's responding back. And then they had that segment in Chicago. It was the same show that The Rock showed up, like Bloody Cody Rhodes. They had that very like loosely scripted promo segment, where it's him and Drew McIntyre talking shit, and Seth comes out, and that felt like CM Punk, because he's just like really ornery and like not in a good mood, and he's like referencing Vince McMahon, and he's fucking with Drew McIntyre, and it felt like a real CM Punk segment, and that was great. And so the preceding couple months, where they're finding a way to kind of keep him in the mix despite being injured, and he's doing the back and forth stuff with Drew, I thought that stuff was generally like from like the spring, early summer was really good. And then the build leading into Drew McIntyre, like the first SummerSlam match, was very like really really exciting. Their first SummerSlam match is obviously super polarizing. I thought the second one in Berlin was a very good match, but also like closer to what I want, but not quite getting there. And then we get the high note here, which was the Hell in a Cell match, that I thought was excellent. I thought that was one of the best WWE matches in a long time. And
yeah.
so
Me too.
it's hard to summarize overall, like because it's been so much like up and down. But what I would say is that generally speaking, the trend was upwards. Like the Drew McIntyre feud threatened to like lose steam at points, like towards that last quarter. But you ended on like such a high note where you have a Hell in a Cell match that was not only excellent, but also felt like a proper Hell in a Cell match, which you haven't gotten one of those in a long, long, long time. So I thought he went on hiatus on one of the best matches he's had in a couple of years, and coming out of this, he's set to come back and likely work Gunther, which will be another great match. So I would say
Yeah,
that Punk
and
finally
that's
got going there. What's up?
I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's a story that you kind of broke a week or two ago. You
Mm.
said that it's Gunther versus CM Punk at Survivor Series, right?
Yeah, so that was floating around as an idea, and that was kind of thrown out there. And Punk's super into that, and he wants to do that match. And as of right now, that looks to be the scheduled match for Survivor Series. Yeah.
Okay. And then if you're just watching the TV, you would think that they're going to get to Rollins and CM Punk at WrestleMania next year, right? I mean, that has to be the direction.
Yeah, probably. And the thing with Gunther was coming out of Berlin, Punk cut a promo where he basically was saying like, "All right, I'm done with Drew. I beat him, and Gunther, I'm coming for you." And that's when Drew like jumps him and like he set up the third match. So they kind of threaded that in a little bit, but yeah, it looks like what I would anticipate is he's gonna face Gunther. He's probably gonna lose, and he's gonna kind of just he's going to have basically like an approximation of the Collision run following that, which is basically like have fun with tags and working with other people for a couple, like for a little bit into the Rumble, and then you start looking towards Seth Rollins.
Well, I think that's good, and I think they're finally going to get to the Rollins match. I think that's a match that everybody's going to want to see.
Yeah,
Not going to main event, not going to main event a damn thing, but it'll be a big match for them.
which he won't love. You know, I the thing that sucks about aggregation is like you ever are inclined to like give a little something to the audience, but you're like, nah, then it's gonna get like aggregated, and then it turns into like another thing. You know, like I was gonna say something, but it just it's not worth it. But yeah, he wants to do big time, big business shit.
Yeah.
You know, and so he looks at guys that he can really draw money with. You know, so that's why like for him, he genuinely like looks at Roman Reigns, and he really wants to do that purely just because of like how box office he believes that will be. So we'll see when that happens. We'll see if that happens. But yeah, Mania looks like Rollins, and I'm not sure if that's going to main event any night, but we'll see.
No, I think the main event double like night one main event probably Roman versus Big Jacob Fatu would be my pick anyway, and the night two would be Rock and Cody. But there's a rumor going around that it's gonna be Rock, Cody, and Roman in a menage a trois.
I don't put too much stock in that, to be honest with you.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't put too much stock in that.
That's good. That's good. Hey, before I let you go, since
Yeah.
you don't want to get aggregated, I'm gonna try to trap you into some clickbait. You want to play?
Sure.
All right, all right. All right, you're starting your own wrestling company, okay?
Okay.
And you can only pick one of two females who happen to be free agents.
Okay.
One of two females. The two females are Mercedes Mone and Mariah May. Which one are you picking to start your new company?
My mental health. I don't know. I don't love you. I mean, look, you got to give it to Mercedes just because of
Okay.
her
He
track
avoided the
record.
clickbait.
Yeah, sure. If you gave me like Willow or something or like
Yeah.
DL, I'd take them right now. But even with this lackluster year that Mercedes is having, I do still think I I do still think she is Mercedes and she's
Yeah.
capable of being Mercedes. And in a funny way, ironically, since we were just talking about CM Punk and how the beginning of that run like was really like shaky and eventually he kind of got on the right foot. I do think the same will happen for Mercedes. Even though it's been a bit of a weird start and a couple of her pay-per-view matches were very disappointing. Um,
Well,
I'd still like to think there's enough signs there to believe that we're gonna circle back to this in 5 months and say, yeah, she's really like getting going now. And I don't mean that from like a business moving standpoint. Like I think that may be like we're past that because of like how it was handled upon arrival. But just from the standpoint of like her producing great high end work that is befitting of someone of her caliber and her reputation, I do think she'll be able to get back to that.
I do too. I would say it's been a bit disappointing. But I did feel that the women carried All In, the build to All In. Just
Hmm.
it just didn't happen to where that her match with Britt Baker was able to deliver. And I
Yeah,
think that Mercedes Moné plays up to her competition. Like when her opponent is really good, she's really good too. You see that when she's in there with Willow and other
yeah,
folks like that. But when she's in there with somebody that's like Britt Baker, who I don't want to say is like terrible or anything, but she's not she's not like a 5-star type of worker. She's not going to do
no.
all that. So Mercedes Moné is only as good as her opponent is.
Well, the weird thing is, I thought she in WWE, I thought she was someone who could like have good matches with outright bad wrestlers. I thought I remember she had a match with Carmella in the pandemic. I think it was TLC 2020, where it was like outrageously good. Given like it was like no disrespect to Carmella, but just like with Britt Baker, it's like she's not that type of wrestler, and they had a very good match. And so I think if there's one thing I learned in this AEW run is she no longer has the ability to do that, where you just throw someone at her who's just like, all right, and like they're gonna like make chicken salad out of chicken shit. She can't really do that, but I do think she's somebody that can still have a very good match with a very good wrestler. It kind of reminds me of how Dave Meltzer used to talk about Ric Flair and how Ric Flair would describe himself because Ric Flair was the type of guy that in 1989 he could work a broomstick. In '99, he's not what he once was. If you give him a good wrestler, well, not '99, WCW sucked in '99, but like let's go like '96, right?
Yeah.
Ric Flair could have a very good match with a very good wrestler. You know, you give him Eddie Guerrero, he's gonna have a very good match. You're gonna give him like another guy like that, he's gonna have a very good match. But he's not the guy that like you throw anybody and it's going to be special. It's not going to be special. That type of magic isn't there. But they can still be great when they need to be great with the right person. And I do think Mercedes is in that type of situation right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm going to leave you with this. It's not a question, but it's a super chat. It says
Sure.
for AEW, I think they need to build their roster around MJF and Swerve. Those are their two biggest stars, in my opinion, bigger than Ospreay, Moxley, or Cole. I don't know that they're bigger stars. I think they're very good. But I don't know if you need to build the entire company around them.
Moxley's done better business than both Swerve and MJF. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, he did, and he's actively driven to turn the ship around both in kayfabe and reality, and so I do just trust the creative mindset of John Moxley and the state he's in right now, and then also it's like a guy like Will Ospreay is just undeniable, dude. You know what I mean? It's like how do you look at him and just like outright say like, yeah, no, we're gonna cap his potential at this level because he can't be at that level. It's like why not? Like, you know what I mean? So. I say the more the merrier. Share the wealth and let's have all those guys be at the top rather than just it's designated to Swerve and Max. I think all those guys can coexist at the top of the card, and with the right creative, they can all benefit from that and help AEW.
Yeah, and AEW does a good job of like rotating people. Like they sent Moxley to Japan for a while. Right. Yeah. While they were focusing in on Swerve. And then when Swerve's run was done, he takes off a little bit of time and then Moxley comes back and then now MJF's back. There's a lot of the pie that people can eat. So I don't really feel like we need to downgrade others to make other people look good. I think we can say, look, they're all pretty fucking good. But if you ask it for my money, Moxley has probably been their most reliable star. And MJF was a box office failure. Unfortunately, that run just didn't quite work out. So I would say if I had to pick between Moxley and MJF, I'm going to go with the guy that's probably done a little bit better business for me. That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, that's totally fair. I'd also like to shout out like Hangman Page. I mean, the turnaround he's made with his character like this summer was tremendous. And I hope they keep the momentum up with that. I think they're threatening to kind of like cool that down a bit. And I hope not, because where he was just in the summertime, and going into like All Out Chicago, you're looking at one of the best characters in wrestling. And so I hope they kind of keep the ball rolling on that. And I think Hangman Page could be somebody that can really help them. Yeah,
so do I. Ibou, man, I really appreciate you being here. You gave me more than 30 minutes that you promised me. So thank you so much for staying longer. You're always welcome here on the Mike and JD show. So thank you so much. And thank you for all the hard work that you're putting in, because guys like JD and I, who don't really break news, we just, talk about the news that you break. That's a big help to our podcast.
We appreciate it.
Listen, I'm happy to provide that for you guys, and I appreciate you guys. You guys are like way too nice to me, but I'm down to come on anytime if I'm able to, and I had fun here. So of course I'm going to extend it a little past the time because I was having a good time.
Yeah. Everybody go follow Ibou. If you're not already a follower, go to @BackupHangman and then go to the WrestlePurists YouTube channel. You just Google or search in WrestlePurists, and you guys got like 3 or 4 shows a week on there now, right?
Yeah, and with me specifically, I do the Monday WrestlePurists Worldwide show where we talk about the weekend stuff, and that's usually where you'll likely get like just like all around the world information and coverage. I do the Raw review on Tuesdays where I don't review Raw, but I answer a lot of super chat questions and give a lot of information and laugh with my friends, and then we do Dynamite reviews on Thursday. So listen, subscribe to the channel. And you'll usually catch me on the channel twice a week. So definitely do that if you're someone in the audience that's unfamiliar. And if you don't follow me on Twitter, follow me @BackupHangman. Please don't harass me. And I usually do a space a week where we just fuck around and have fun. So guys, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, man.
Thank you to the audience for being so kind. So appreciate all you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you. And that's going to do it for us this week. And until next time. Mahalo.
Competition starting to get thick. It's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. A made no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This isn't A game. Better bring your A game. Competition starting to get thick. It's the click.